In a world where Hollywood movies have sucked for over a decade, two men have done the unthinkable. They've started their own production company from nothing. Welcome to Unpacked.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Unpacked, where you follow myself and my good friend, Mr. Jason Kiesel, as we create our own independent film studio from literally nothing. But we've got so much more than nothing now. We have three websites.
Yes.
Essentially, we have three websites, all constructed by Mr. Kiesel.
So we have Packed House Pictures. We have Packed House Pictures, which is the script competition, script submission platform. We have Indie Film Fund, which is our crowdfunding platform,
which is about to be have some action going on.
We'll be live in a little bit with our finalists projects as we start building those out. And then third, we have Inverted Film, and that is our vertical format streaming platform. That we are going live with in,
like
14 days.
14 days? Yeah.
Yes.
Which is crazy, but
yes.
And we now have, as you were saying about our finalists, we now have all six finalists. We do signed options with our six first projects, all of which we're very excited about. We're probably scheduling a call with all our finalists, hopefully for next week. We'll see when we can get them all on the phone. We have two finalists from the UK, which is cool. And then our
across
four,
the pond.
We have one from Texas.
Right here in Austin, I think.
I think one is Chicago. I don't think any are in LA. One is Chicago, I think.
Where is Simon from?
Simon is in
the
Northwest now. He's in Oregon, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think he's in Oregon at the moment. He's wanting to come down to LA, but I think right now he's in Oregon. And so, I mean, everyone's from everywhere, which was part of what we wanted. That was the whole idea.
A nice, eclectic, diverse group of people.
It is. It really is. And it just kind of came together naturally. And I mean, the screenplays are very interesting and they tell cool stories. And, you and I were having a conversation actually with one of the finalists the other day. And I mean, my excitement level for what I think we can do with our finalists, should we get the funding, has never been higher. Like, even when we were just sort of like coming up with the idea, not quite 2 years ago at this point, like, I was excited then, but I mean, in terms of what I think we can do for a low budget now with these projects, is through the roof.
Well,
and that's really all because of the experience with Pizza Guys versus Vampires.
Yes. And after you showed me what you could do with AI on the visual effects side, and what was the phrase you used? It was like, for the AI, it was, because people are involved in it,
it's ethical. It's ethical AI.
Ethical AI.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So with Pizza Guys versus Vampires, so Flashback Pictures, who commissioned this project, in the crazy race to fill the vertical space that is happening right now, like it's unbelievable how buzzy vertical is.
It is.
We've talked about it on the podcast before. Yeah.
I was at a party last night, or an event, and met some filmmakers from the UK. Interestingly enough, they're from Britain, England. And I mentioned, what I was working on. They're like, well, we're working on some vertical stuff. So it's like everybody I seem to talk to is
so buzzy right now.
On like verticals. It's crazy.
And so, thus our involvement, on a couple fronts. One, my work for Flashback, which led to the connection to Packed House and really to the formation of Inverted as sort of a concept that you have been executing, which I'm incredibly excited about, what we're capable of doing. Flashback provided a small economic budget to make a vertical mini drama or micro drama, as they could be called, but the really looking to see what kind of audiences vertical can find, because we're not really targeting the type of audience that is already in the mainstream verticals, which is more of like a soap opera type show.
And I think this is primarily women. I think
very, very women centric. And so we're trying something different. This is sort of an 80s B movie, horror, action comedy. And the parts that excite me for what we can do at Packed House once we get Indie Film Fund up and running, and I think the part where if anyone is listening and anyone is thinking about donating, is that I think in the past if you looked at someone on whatever platform they were on, Kickstarter, GoFundMe, whatever, and they were saying like, I'm trying to raise whatever you want to call it, $250,000 to make my movie. Your immediate thought is this movie's, it's going to look like crap. Like you can't make anything good for $250,000. It's, unless
Why
you're filming
bother?
it in one tiny room, with two actors, that's as good as you're going to get. And that is just not the case anymore. Like, so Flashback has a lot of things going on right now. And one of the things, a project that I was also involved in, is an animated film called River. And River is sort of at the forefront of this ethical AI, I guess, revolution that's about to hit, where they've got a small team of people, actual human artists. So there's actually someone who's drawing all the original concepts. And there are people who are building the models for the backgrounds, a lot like old school animation. Like when they would do Disney animation, they'd have one group of artists that were doing all of the cells for the characters, and then the backgrounds were all being done by other people, even before they started incorporating computers to help them generate those things and make them move differently and all of that sort of stuff. So, what they can do now, though, is now that artist can create that image, and then the head of, really the director of River, but the person who's also the I guess conceptually the father of this whole idea, has built this engine using the AI technology that's available that allows them to sort of automate the process of moving around these characters and putting them in very dynamic backgrounds.
Are they using Unreal for that at all?
We talked about using Unreal Engine, but it's all sort of an in-house setup.
So it's all custom.
Leveraging tools that are out there, but he's created a unique engine. And that's where the ethical part of it comes in, is that there's no scraping involved. Like there's nothing being done.
They're not taking anybody's prior IP
but they're using it to automate and speed up the process and lower the number of people and the amount of time that it takes to do things. But the interesting thing is that within this same engine, you can also do things with photorealistic images and video. So for Pizza Guys versus Vampires, super tight budget. There were essentially two locations, kind of a quasi third, in that we used sort of a bit of a street corner, but there was a pizza shop, and then there was a big sort of warehouse complex, and then there was like a couple of street corners that we used. But to give the film depth and scope and add production value, we've been able to add in these slices of AI or enhance scenes that we already filmed with AI that make it look, people aren't going to
make it look bigger budget. At the end of the day, right?
People aren't going to believe I'm not going to say the number. People aren't going to believe what we filmed Pizza Guys versus Vampires for. I would say that. No one will believe what we filmed it for. And additionally, on top of that, is the tools that are available to help you with music. One of the big things that separates a movie that has a budget without a budget is the kind of music that you can get for the film. And there are tools out there now that allow someone like myself, and again, ethically, like all the lyrics original.
Yep. Yeah, you're a songwriter now.
Chord progressions, chord, all it. But you have this tool that allows you to fill those out and make these songs sound like, certainly if I sang my own songs, I would sound terrible because I'm not a good musician. And at the budgets we're at, we couldn't afford, the kind of musicians that one day we'd love to. And look, we'd love to hire musicians, but at the super low budget, to give your movie a bigger, better, more expensive feel, you can use these tools that are out there to, create a score and a soundtrack for yourself. And again, not scraping anything, things that you are licensed commercially to use, all within legal bounds. These are things that are adding production value, and these are tools that we're going to be able to use to, and not just us, but all kinds of indie filmmakers. I think we are going to be at the front edge. But if you're someone who, is interested in indie film and wants to see movies that are made outside of the Hollywood system, by writers who have not yet been acknowledged, telling whatever stories we want to tell, you don't have to be afraid of donating and taking a project to, maybe we can raise $200, maybe we can raise $250,000. We can make a professional looking. Now, look, there's still limitations there, right? Like,
of course.
These are going to be reduced location, smaller cast, kind of movies, but they're going to look and sound fantastic. And it's all done ethically. We do all the work. It's just a tool. It's like before there were computers that were helping. This is like that step again. Like, back before there was digital and it was just film. This is that step again. It's just another tool that's enhancing the power of indie filmmakers. But I was saying that there were limits. There's still, especially if you want to stay within the boundaries of it's that everything is centered around what you put on camera and your own ideas and your script written by a person. There's still boundaries in which a $250,000, $500,000, $1 million budget will get you. We probably would not be able to do like an Avengers level movie. I don't know that an Avengers level movie has to cost $250 million anymore. Some of that is obviously if you're going to pay Robert Downey Jr. $75 million, like there's that. It's still at the end of the day comes back to having a good script, a script that enables you to tell a good story for a low amount of money. And, I think our movie of the week terrifies me a little bit when I think about that.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, do you want to tell everyone what we watched this week to talk about?
Well, it's a crazy freaking title. And hold on. It's a glimpse inside the mind of Charles Swan III.
It was A24's first movie, not as a distributor.
Distributed.
Yes, as a distributor. Okay,
yeah,
first
as
distributed film.
Yeah.
So, man.
Well, let me go through it. Let me go through who stars in it. So it's starring Charlie Sheen and Jason Schwartzman.
Yep.
And Bill Murray, Patricia Arquette, Aubrey Plaza.
Yep.
I don't know who plays his girlfriend. Is that Mary Elizabeth Winstead?
It's Catherine Winnick, who was Lagertha in Vikings. She's great.
Okay.
Like if you've ever seen Vikings, like everyone knows who Lagertha is. I mean, she's beautiful, but she was so tough in that show. Like so tough. It was directed by a Coppola, Roman Coppola.
Roman. Is it Coppola or Coppola?
Coppola.
I've always pronounced it Coppola.
I believe it's Coppola, but I can be corrected. But the budget was pretty decent. Do you have that number up in front of you about what the budget was? What was the budget? I believe
it was 12. Oh my God. It is probably the worst film I've ever seen. I've seen one that I saw one on Netflix that was pretty bad, but this one kind of takes the cake in the sense that with the amount of star power that they had in this film, I was just watching going, why is this so bad?
Yeah.
Everything felt forced.
Yeah.
The scenes were poorly lit. I mean, even the production quality of the film itself was bad. The lighting was bad in a bunch of scenes. They had this weird dance sequence. It was just so over the top. And I was just like, man, how did he get, how did he get all these people to sign on? I mean, did they read the script and go, man, this is really good?
This is the thing that I think should give anyone, with aspirations of getting into making movies pause. Cause all those people that you just mentioned in terms of cast are very talented. The Coppola family name, one of the biggest in Hollywood, having made some, I mean, look, they've made some bad movies, but they've made the Coppolas as a whole have made great stuff, produced great stuff. Roman Coppola has produced some really, really good things. American Zoetrope, who actually produced the film, has made some great stuff owned by the Coppolas. But, you can have the talent, you can have the money, but if you don't have the script, if you don't have the story, it's not going to work. And I think your question is the one that gives me a little bit of nightmares, is that presumably all of these people involved read this script, and certainly Roman Coppola had this script and thought, this is a great idea and this is going to work.
I think he wrote it. Did he write the script too?
He did.
Yeah.
So basically, if you've not seen the movie, and I'm sure if you're A24, I mean, I guess the rental fee doesn't bother you if you want people to pay the rental fee, because that's
I watched it free on Zubi or Tubi.
Oh, was that where? Oh, Tubi.
Yeah, it was on Tubi.
Shoot. Okay, all right. Well,
I don't think I could even rent it. When I went on my Apple TV and searched for it, it just said watch it free on Tubi. It didn't even offer me the rental option, so I don't even know if you can rent it.
Well, well, if you haven't seen A Glimpse Inside the Mind of Charles Swan III, essentially what the movie is about this man basically boiled down, it's a man, Charlie Sheen, who's trying to get over the fact that his girlfriend has dumped him
Yes.
because he kind of deserves it. I mean, not kind of, like
Yes.
he deserves it. Like he's a total
Flat out.
cad,
Yeah.
like
Yep.
Charlie Sheen a bit in real life. And much of the movie plays out in fantasy, sort of like the fantasies in the mind of, you know, Charles Swan III. Now, there have been plenty of movies that have played very successfully with that kind of idea,
Yeah,
being
that
inside the
concept.
mind of characters and like seeing everything in a very heightened, very bizarre, strange kind of way. And I think those movies often are very niche. Like, I mean, you certainly have a movie like Inception, where a bulk of the movie, maybe the whole movie, depending on what conspiracy theory you believe, all takes place in sort of like the dream where fantastical things are happening, and this one is meant more as a comedy, like, it's not supposed to be serious like Inception, but much of the movie takes place inside his mind and none of it works. Like,
No.
none of it works. There's no dramatic tension. You can't stand just about any of the characters. And it just goes to show
I'm trying to think
that,
if there was like a likable moment that when I was watching it, if I was like,
I don't remember it.
I
if it
remember
happened.
chuckling at a few scenes, like, oh, that's kind of funny. But like everything else was it's almost painful to watch. It was just like, oh, geez, I can't believe this actually got made into a film.
Well, and I think that's the thing that, for us, we went hunting for our scripts via the format of a contest. We opened the doors up and we read a lot of stuff. We talked about a lot of scripts and then we chose 6 really to be our finalists. And it's just sort of like, it gives you pause. Like, and I believe in our finalists. I think we've got really good scripts. I think when the budgets come in, there'll be some, adjustments made to kind of make sure that everything fits in what we can do and who we can hire and all that kind of thing. But we love these stories and, by and large, we want them to be what they are.
Yeah.
It's just sort of like, can you be that off in your taste and in your mind? Like, sure, clearly you can. Like, all these people were very talented people who had this script in front of them and went out and made a terrible, terrible movie.
So has Roman made any other films since?
He's made a ton of music videos.
Music videos are, they're only about 5 minutes long.
It's an art form, though. Like,
it is.
There's cinematography.
Spike Jonze was Spike Jonze very famously started out with music videos and moved into full feature length. But this film in particular, this Glimpse Inside the Mind, I thought it was just poorly shot. I thought it was poorly like paced. I mean, everything about like the lighting on it, like the way he would frame up people, it was just like this kind of like amateur hour. And
the framing was all, well, and I mean, here's the thing. Here's the weird thing is like, certainly there are movies that are beautiful, right? Like that they're able to take even a simple 2-shot or over the shoulder and make it look like art in every frame. Or someone like Wes Anderson or someone who very uniquely is literally able to make each frame look like a painting, So you have those folks, but there's also, like, circling back to Pizza vs. Vampires. Pizza vs. Vampires is supposed to be like, the great B horror movie kind of things. So there was some fun stuff that we did with in camera. Like there were some very cool things. Like Dan, the guy who founded Flashback, was a DP, and we had a great DP on set. Josh, maybe, like, these guys know how to make stuff look good, and there's good looking shots that are in the movie. But like, it wasn't like there was time or budget to, create these sort of perfect, frames or whatever. Like, and the movies we were basing it on are all very simple movies. Like, they're not.
What was some of the inspiration
budget.
that was behind Pizza?
Well, we love one of the inspirations is a beautiful movie, and that's Lost Boys. Like, Lost Boys is Joel Schumacher, and that looks great. But like, we love like Big Trouble in Little China. We like The Gate. I was
gonna say,
like there's and Big Trouble in Little China is super cool, but I don't think John Carpenter was ever famous for his cinematography necessarily. Like, I think his cinematography is fairly straightforward in his movies, but if you're a fan of John Carpenter like I am, like, you love John Carpenter movies. Like they're just entertaining and they're alive. They're very alive. Like a John Carpenter movie, even the ones that aren't as great as his really good ones, they're alive. Like they've got zing. It's just wild to have that much budget and that much talent and have there be no zing, no life in the film whatsoever. And I don't know, it scares me a little bit. It's
How did
just
you
sort of
think
like
Charlie's performance was? Because I felt like he was kind of playing himself. The character was very much like
no, he's basically
him.
playing himself. Very much like, did you ever watch 2.5 Men?
Oh yeah, I was a big fan of that show.
A little bit like that. But here's what's crazy. If 2.5 Men showcased anything, it was how charismatic Charlie Sheen could be. Like, he just was very funny, and even though that's also an interesting comparison, because in 2.5 Men, Charlie Sheen's character is a cad. Like, he's not a good person, and he's playing opposite his brother, who is a much better person. Like, and this boy who is naturally, because he's a child, like very innocent and nice and everything.
Yeah.
But yet you're not as repulsed by him. I mean, some people were like a lot of people called out the misogyny in like 2.5 Men. I don't think 2.5 Men is like one of the greatest sitcoms, but his charisma carried the day. Like the show was super popular and it was funny. In this one, he plays a cad and you just don't like him. Like he's just not a good dude. There's nothing redemptive really about him. Like he's just totally selfish. He treats women like trash. Like, and he's sitting there like he's trying to get over the breakup, but clearly this woman should have left him. Like, he's not a good dude. Like, it's just wild. It's wild.
So here are the box office numbers for.
Oh yeah, what's the data?
The domestic opening was $1,761.
Oh my God!
The domestic total. The domestic total was $45,350.
Well, I guess he can hang his hat on the fact that he got a 45 times multiplier, which
the grand total was $210,565 on a $12 million budget. They recouped about 2%, roughly.
What year was it? What year was that one? It made 9.
It was released in 2013.
2013.
I guess it began development in 2004, though. So it started development early. It took about 9 years before it was finally released.
Well, it must have sat on the shelf
location
for a little while.
in Santa Clarita and Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Another fun fact, Jason Schwartzman, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and Aubrey Plaza were also in Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
Together.
Which is a much more fun movie.
Yes. This is so in contrast to their highest grossing film, Everything Everywhere All at Once, grossed $143 million. So 210 grand.
That one was not a super small budget though. Everything Everywhere All at Once for A24.
No, I think it was in the 20s, if I recall. I remember looking at it.
Which, granted, for Hollywood is not a huge budget either, but
no.
For us that's the moon. Even for us, $12 million is the moon. Like,
yeah.
$12 million. Like, and look, everyone who sets out to make a movie, at least at the beginning of the process, believes in themselves, like they're going to make something great. Like, we all believe this sort of thing. Now, well, I was about to say, we have experience in that we've made things before and had things written that have been made before and those kind of things. But like all these people had experience, way more experience than, between Charlie Sheen and Bill Murray alone, the amount of experience that they had in terms of making movies and being in great movies. Like both of those guys have been in all-time great movies.
Yeah.
And they both chose to be in this one for whatever reason.
What are some of Sheen's big movies? Young Guns comes to mind.
Well, the great ones are like Platoon and Wall Street. Those are like huge. But he's been in a ton of movies. He was in like
both
The Rookie
Oliver
with
Stone
Clint
films?
Eastwood. Yes. So he was Oliver Stone's muse for a little while, I guess.
You said The Rookie?
Well, he was in The Rookie with Clint Eastwood, who's like mega star.
What was the baseball one?
Major League?
With the Major League. Yeah.
Major League is an all-time comedy. All-time comedy.
It's very fun.
Love Major League.
with a great
It's
cast too.
so funny. Great cast.
Corbin
And he's killer in
Burnson.
it. He's
Oh yeah,
killer.
he's great.
He's
Yeah.
so good. Tom Berenger, who was his
Yeah.
co-star in Platoon.
Yeah.
I mean, Charlie Sheen was in,
Wesley
and then
Snipes was in
of
that.
course he was in 2.5 Men, which was like a really long-running,
Yeah.
successful sitcom, and he was making gobs and gobs of money. Now, of course, by that time he was, struggling with alcohol and drugs and women and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, having a personal spiral, megastar. Now, Bill Murray, I mean,
Oh my God.
the
You can-
movies, Ghostbusters,
Caddyshack.
Stripes, Caddyshack. What about Bob?
Lost in Translation.
Lost in Translation. I mean, he's Bill Murray. Like, he's a legend.
Yeah.
He's a legend, and you just, I don't know, but like,
Even
I guess-
Patricia Arquette has been in a bunch of really,
Tons
really
of
good
stuff.
films.
so is Mary Elizabeth Winstead. She's been in a ton of stuff.
Yeah. I'm just,
You know,
it's crazy that film was so bad. It was horrible. Oh my gosh.
And not that you want to play to not lose. Like, I don't want us to be thinking about like, well, I do want us to.
No, we play to win. Sorry.
Yeah, we
I
want to
mean,
make something really good, within our means. But it's definitely, it can get in the back of your head about like anybody is capable of making a bad movie. And,
how does
again,
this
we
movie
don't.
compare to the one that James Franco redid?
Well, James Franco was in the movie about the movie, about
yes.
The Room. The Room is. I mean, The Room
is
is
The Room better than this?
spectacular. No. The Room is spectacular in its badness. Like, and this is the thing about saying that a movie is bad, right? Like, Charlie Sheen is still Charlie Sheen and Bill Murray is still Bill Murray. Like,
Correct.
in The Room, so when we say a movie is bad, like when you say a good movie is bad, or when I say I like bad movies, which I say a lot, like I'm a fan of a lot of like bad movies, like.
Well, I would say you're probably a fan of films that weren't well received by critics.
Yeah, right. So
and maybe not well received by the audience, right? Like, so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So like, when you there's different levels of bad. There's different kinds of bad, and I think there's some types of bad where it's like clearly you've got young people or inexperienced people making their first movie, but there's still this feeling of talent.
Yeah.
Or of energy or of zing, like we were saying earlier, that sort of like filters through the project. So it's like, no, the shots aren't great. Maybe the acting's a bit questionable. The budget's clearly low, but like there's some zing, there's some life to it. So it's like, okay, yeah, that's a bad movie, but it's like good bad, right? Like you're enjoying this movie. And then there's bad movies that are like The Room, where it's like there's a level of incompetence and amateurism that is almost like, you shouldn't be too hard on someone like that. Because Tommy Wiseau, who, basically created the whole thing and then eventually got in on the joke and started like putting on these showings of The Room that allowed people to make fun of it and made his budget back.
He leaned into it a little bit.
Yeah, he leaned into it and made his budget back. And like, I think we shouldn't be too mean to people who make that kind of bad movie because, they went out and tried. Like they put their best into it, and maybe their radar
They
was
were
off
inexperienced.
Yeah.
And they were giving it their first shot, and it didn't.
And I hope people
didn't pan out.
I hope people would give us some grace when we have our first movies come out, because for whatever experience we do have and for the experienced people that
Zero
we'll be
for
bringing
me.
on board. Well, no. And I mean, we both bring our things to the table that are helping us produce these projects and get them, to where they need to be. But it's like, if it's sort of your first time taking it from nose to tail, you're going to learn things. You're going to learn things. You're going to run into bumps, and you're not going to have the money to just throw money at it to fix it. It's all going to have to be creativity and guts. Then there's bad, not to pick on the Coppolas today, but there's like Megalopolis that's bad.
Megaflopolis,
where it's like,
as they call it.
Megaflopolis, where it's like you've got all the money and all the talent in the world, and you make something that's really inert and hard to connect with and flat. And those, I think, are the bad movies that are the most offensive.
Did you see Megalopolis?
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. I want to see it just because I want to see what like everybody was talking about and how bad it was, just trying to make a judgment for myself. But,
I've seen a glimpse inside the mind of Charles Swan III.
Yeah. I could.
It would be interesting to say which one is worse. I would wager to say that Charles Swan III is worse than Megalopolis. Would be my guess.
Actually, this is going to be a hot take. A film that I thought was horrible and I'm going to butcher this title, but it was Scorsese's Killer of the Flower Moon, or
Oh,
is that it?
wow. You didn't like Killers of the Flower Moon. Well,
I hated it. I was like that.
uh,
I want my 3 hours back.
well,
I came out of that. It was just like,
let me
man,
put this, let me say
that's
this way. So, first of all, I did not hate Killers of the Flower Moon. I've never watched it again. I only watched it the one time. That's a really interesting example because I certainly would not categorize it as a bad movie. Like,
I don't think it was a
it
bad movie. I just really didn't like it. I thought it was beautifully shot. The acting
it
was
looks
really
gorgeous.
good.
The acting is incredible across the board. The
I just
music is
didn't like the
good.
story.
Well, so this is, I think, one of the most interesting things. This is super interesting about this particular movie. So it's based on a book, and the book follows the Jesse Plemons character, who
Is that
is a
Leo?
really interesting guy. He was a Texas Ranger who becomes one of the first FBI agents. And this is one of the very early FBI cases. And we really only get in with these guys about, I don't know, 2/3 of the way through the movie, not even halfway. Like it's
Right.
beyond halfway before they really get involved.
Hmm.
And so, as like an art piece, watching the Leonardo DiCaprio character and the Lily Gladstone character live together with this kind of knowing that they each know or suspect, well, that she may know or suspect what's happening, and that he apparently doesn't want to do a lot of what he's doing, but is doing it anyway, is interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's not very entertaining. It's interesting, but it's not very entertaining. I
That's
think
true.
what would have been more entertaining is because in the book, this FBI agent comes into town and he is looking at this landscape and seeing these murders happening. And the way he meets the Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio characters is, their true selves are hidden. We know in the version of the movie that came out, we know that they're not good people from the
Yeah.
outset. Like there's no hiding that. Like there's no other suspects really. Like we know what's happening the whole time.
We know who the villains are.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, look, it's Martin Scorsese. He certainly doesn't care what I think. I think it would have been more entertaining if he told the story the way that it was in the book. If he kept it a bit of a mystery and let us follow. And I believe, I may be wrong in this, but I believe they actually approached Leonardo DiCaprio about playing that character. And it might have been Leo who wanted to play the other guy. And that may have been what led to the change in the perspective,
Interesting.
in the POV.
Interesting.
But I think it would have been a far more entertaining movie had it played more like the book.
But it was definitely better than A Glimpse Inside the Mind of Charles Swan.
Jeez, yeah. I mean, yeah. No. I mean, because there's also a difference between knowing a movie is not bad and also not enjoying it, which that happens all the time. I mean, there's movies that I just don't maybe like for whatever reason, but I know that they're really well made and that they're good, good movies, but I don't enjoy them. That's not the same as them being bad. But, we're not going to have $12 million. The odds are we're not going to have Charlie Sheen or Bill Murray or Jason Schwartzman or Catherine Winnick or Mary Elizabeth Winstead or any of those people.
I'd love to get Bill Murray, but he would be fantastic.
Well, yeah.
And he's known to do like really small independent films. So maybe we get lucky.
Who
knows?
I think if anything, though, it's been good that we chose this as a movie, that Emma chose this as a movie week for us, because, it is sort of that question we can stop and ask ourselves at some point is like, let's make sure we're not making, inside A Glimpse Inside the Mind of Charles Swan III as a goal. We don't want to do that. We'd like our first movie to at least be good, maybe we don't come out great, but we'd love to come out at least good,
Oh yeah.
And I think
we will.
Well, I think with the tools that we have available to us that filmmakers of the past didn't have, it's
and the people,
helpful.
right? I mean, we have a huge network of super talented people.
Yeah, we do know really talented people, but I think that was what kind of scared me is like, these are talented people involved in Charles Swan III. It did not save them. It did not save them.
Good lesson to learn.
We have interesting stuff on the horizon. A lot of interesting stuff on the horizon. We've got Inverted in the next couple weeks is going to be rolling out its first movie. Indie Film Fund is going to be launching its first 6 campaigns with our wonderful finalists. And you and I are going to be continuing, to have our nose to the grindstone and working on various projects.
And I keep seemingly drumming up more vertical filmmakers that want to make vertical films. So
let's put them on Inverted.
Bring them on the platform.
Yeah. Help them find an audience.
Yeah.
But speaking of
right.
audiences, we appreciate anyone who's tuning into the podcast. And
Yes. Thank you.
if you want to follow us, sign up for our newsletter at packedhouse.com. Sign up at Inverted if you want to hear about vertical films that are coming out. And then sign up at Indie Film Fund. Actually, I guess it's one sign up. Will one sign up get you in for all of those, or?
Technically, they're different mailing lists,
Okay.
but we have the ability to send them all out if we
Okay,
want.
great. Well, sign up at our sites, wherever and however you want to be plugged in to keep following us.
Follow us on socials.
Yes, follow us on our socials, and we'll be back with another podcast next week.
Episode of Unpacked.
Unpacked.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.